Good morning and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Emily Kobier-Schell and I am a member of the BUILDUP editorial team.
Welcome to BUILDUP, the European Commission's portal for energy efficiency and renewable energy in buildings. Directly stemming from the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, BUILDUP is the meeting place for everyone involved in making the European building and construction sector more energy efficient. Every month we focus on a topic that is key to making Europe's buildings as energy efficient as possible. Exploring that, you can find the latest content such as expert talks, webinars, case studies and more. From architects and engineers to academics and policy makers, we've got you covered. BUILDUP brings together thousands of registered members to reap the benefit of Europe's collective intelligence on all aspects of energy efficiency and renewable energy in buildings. The BUILDUP portal benefits from the expertise of our ambassadors. Drawn from industry and academia, the ambassadors bridge the gap between EU and national level and help shape our editorial content. Want to promote your work? BUILDUP disseminates your research, projects and events through a variety of channels. Become a member to exchange knowledge with your peers. You can disseminate tools and resources, share good practices, and consult open source publications. Join the discussion on social media and become part of the BUILDUP community, or subscribe to our newsletter to receive the latest news. However you participate, the BUILDUP portal is here to inspire, inform and connect. BUILDUP, the European portal for energy efficiency and renewable energy in buildings. Join the community for opportunities and updates.
It's a pleasure for BUILDUP to host today's webinar entitled Are Architects Ready for Circular Transition? Continuous Professional Development Tools for Europe, brought to you by BUSGoCircular, the Architects Council of Europe, and BUILDUP. This webinar is the third of a four-part webinar series hosted by BUILDUP and organized by the BUSGoCircular project this year. The series highlights how different stakeholders could join forces to reskill and upskill the building sector workforce with circular skills by highlighting the main takeaways and outcomes of the project. The target audience for today's webinar is architects. The session today will be as follows. To begin with, following this introduction, there will be a welcome and warm-up with Larissa De Rosso, Project Officer at the Architects Council of Europe and BUSGoCircular project partner. We will then jump into the first presentation of the day, Continuous Professional Development, CPD, in Europe, Architects Council of Europe, ACE, presented by Joni Tyler, Head of CPD Standards at RIBA and ACE CPD Chairperson. This will be followed by two presentations on best practices in CPD training. The first will be from Royal Institute of Dutch Architecture Academy, or BNA, in the Netherlands, and presented by Annelien de Jong, Senior Policy at the Dutch Architectural Register Office, and Caroline Gentner, Internationalization Coordinator at BNA in the Netherlands. The second presentation will be from the Royal Institute of Architects in Ireland and presented by Sandra Campbell, Education Director at RIAI. Larissa De Rosso will then return to present an overview of the BUSGoCircular project and its main outcomes, followed by Martin Breen, researcher at TUS Ireland and BUSGoCircular project partner, who will present the European Framework for Circular Skills in Design and Construction. Larissa De Rosso will then present the European Fundamental Training Pack. To round off presentations, we will hear experiences from the ground from the BUSGoCircular Train the Trainer program. These will be presented by Pavla Dvorakova, Assistant Professor at Czech Technical University in Prague and BUSGoCircular partner, Michalina Joanna Frojek, Architectural Designer at Entra Architecture, Portugal and BUSGoCircular trainer, and Carolina Baric, Co-founder, Zero Architecture and Rethink Architecture and BUSGoCircular trainer. Finally, we will round off the session with a Q&A session and a brief thank you from BUILDUP. We invite and encourage the audience to send us questions today primarily through the Slido function. These questions will be answered during the Q&A session. Larissa De Rosso will explain shortly how to do this. If you have any technical questions or questions directed at BUILDUP, please send them through the GoToWebinar function. But any questions for the speakers, please send through Slido. You'll be able to find the webinar recording on the BUILDUP portal and on our YouTube channel in the coming days, together with the presentation slides. And now, without further hesitation, we'll move directly to our first speaker of today, Larissa De Rosso, Project Officer at ACE, Council of Europe, excuse me, Architects Council of Europe, and BUSGoCircular Project Partner. Larissa, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Emily. So welcome, everyone. I would start with a warm-up session with our Slido tool. So on the next slide, you can see instructions on how to access our Slido. You just go to your mobile. You can scan the QR code on your mobile, or you can access the website slido.com. You will see an area to type it in CPD, hashtag CPD. This is how you are going to access our Slido. So for question and answers, you will see you can use the box in green that I highlight in the presentation, or you go to ask, simply go to ask button, and then you can type it in your questions. So please feel free to add your questions during the presentation. By the end, as you saw, we will have a question and answer session. Just a quickly warm up, we will start with 3 questions to the audience, which will pop up on your mobile or on your website if you are connecting through your computer. So I will start now, and I will give you one minute to reply. So it's just a quick warm up. Oh, went too quick. So where are you now? So where are you attending from this webinar? Are you in Spain, Portugal, Dublin? Great. Netherlands, The Hague, Rome. Wow, welcome. Portugal. Okay. Italy, Amsterdam. Great. Brussels. Nice. Okay. Romania. Hi, hello, welcome. Malta, Greece, Germany. Wow, Netherlands again. Okay, great. London, Luxembourg. Romania, wow. Welcome, everyone. Colombia, hi, hello. How are you? So now we will move to the next question. So please indicate the type of your organization. You can choose maximum 2. So then you just need to click on what is the type of your organization. Where do you work? Okay, private company, architect. Okay, nice. Private company, architect, NGOs, other. Okay, the answers are coming. Good. Okay, private companies, local authorities, but certainly architects, yeah, it's in majority. Okay, that's great. Universities as well. Okay, that's really, really great. Thank you very much. So now we move on to our final question. How did you find out about this webinar? Where did you see it? Was it from the BUILDUP portal, social media, BUSGoCircular project website, colleagues? Where did you see it? Where did you find it? Okay, LinkedIn, social media, ACE, BNA, BUILDUP portal. Great, great. This is great. Okay, a few more. ACE. Okay, yes, from ACE, from us, the Architects Council of Europe. BUILDUP portal, colleagues, ACE, email. Okay. Okay, social media, LinkedIn, levels. Okay. ACE, colleagues. Okay, nice. and ACE. Okay, that's great. Well, okay, these are the first 3 questions. We will have other 3 questions by the end of the webinar in the Q&A session. But in any case, please, if you want to ask us anything, use the question and answer chat box in the Slido, and we will pick it up by the end of the session. Okay, thank you very much. Now I go to Johnny Tyler. Please, Johnny Tyler, the floor is yours.
Hi, hello. Thank you everybody for joining us today, taking a busy day out of this, what I know is a very busy pre-Christmas rush to hear about circularity, but also about CPD and CPD standards across Europe. I'm Joni Tyler. I'm head of CPD standards at the Royal Institute of British Architects in London in the UK. And I'm also recently taken on the role of heading up the Architects Council of Europe CPD task force, with the aim that all European countries should have a CPD scheme set up for the architects in that country, but also so that the 600,000 architects who work and practice in Europe should be able to find CPD not only in their own country, but from any other country as well. As you probably know, many of you came here because you heard about this from ACE, Architects Council of Europe. But just a little bit of context, the ACE, Architects Council of Europe, is the representative organization for the architectural profession at European level. It aspires to speak with a single voice on its behalf in order to achieve its aims. Its growing membership currently consists of 51 membership organizations, which are the regulatory and professional representative bodies of all the European Union EU member states, accession countries, the UK, Switzerland, and Norway, and 5 observer members, Serbia, Turkey, Ukraine, Montenegro, and Macedonia. Through them, the ACE represents the interests over, well, it says 500,000, but I think it's over 600,000 architects from 35 countries in Europe. The website is here, ace-cia.eu, and you'll find a massive amount of information pertinent to architecture, architecture practice, event, CPD, policy papers, meeting notes, all kinds of huge wealth of information on the ACE website, which actually counts as informal CPD if you read through it. But the other website that's allied to the ACE website is ACE Observatory, which is a compendium of all kinds of really fabulous research and statistical information and other information, which once again is not only interesting, but it also, I think, if as an architect, if you read through the reports and the statistics and think about it and use some reflection, also represents some fantastic informal CPD for you. And this is just considering what we're talking about today, later on today. I thought that this particular place on the position we are in across Europe for mitigating climate change for the 2022 report was really interesting. And it sort of demonstrates between low energy buildings, nearly zero energy buildings, plus energy buildings and circular design, where we are across Europe. And if you were to go to aceobservatory.com, you'll find this and much, much more information to sort of supplement the formal learning you're doing, for example, today. So what I said at the beginning is that ACE is very beginning stages, and we started this a long time ago and sort of had a hiatus, but I'd say in earnest from next year, what we're planning for is that we're going to aim for mutual CPD recognition across European countries and accession countries, to grow the ACE CPD register, which is the list of every country who tell us that they meet minimum quality standards for delivering CPD to architects. We're also going to highlight the growing list of the EU-funded CPD we've got available on the website and update the quality guidance so to make it easier, but at the same time more robust for individual countries to develop their own CPD schemes. Make it easier for you to find CPD events across Europe, not just in your own countries, but across Europe. And I hear rumors that there may be an app eventually to help with that. And really, as I said, to aim for CPD schemes in every European country. CPD in this country, CPD increasingly, not only in Europe, but around the world, is mandatory for any professional, not just architects, but any profession in which the work you do has an impact on the public, on your clients, on your users, whether it's in construction, where we all are, in financial, legal, healthcare, other services. CPD requirements are pretty much standard nowadays. And it's a structured way of maintaining and developing your competence as a qualified professional by engaging in regular learning activities. And as we heard at the beginning, not only maintaining and developing competence, but upskilling and reskilling. And the reskilling is absolutely necessary for battling climate change as well, as we all know. ACE, both REBA and ACE think that CPD can be either structured or informal. This is an example of structured CPD. You're in a classroom situation, though it can also be through distance learning or well, does anybody do distance learning anymore? Online learning. Structured CPD activities will have clear learning aims and outcomes, which will have been given to you by a teacher, speaker, tutor, or organization. And informal CPD, we usually mean quick, free, and self-directed activities such as reading, listening to podcasts, looking at websites, going through reports, internal knowledge transfer, and that kind of thing. So it may not always be obvious that these informal activities are CPD, but if you can learn from them, they can help you to stay up to date in a general way. Now, as I mentioned, ACE, let's go back a second. There we go. Overshooting myself. This is really quicker than I thought it was. There is a register of countries currently offering quality CPD on the ACE website. It doesn't mean that if a country is not listed there, they're not offering quality CPD, but what it does mean is they probably haven't informed us or probably haven't taken the trouble to tell us what they've got and to engage in listing their CPD on this website. So as you can see, we've got Austria, Bulgaria, Czech Republic, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Spain, and the United Kingdom. So if you go to the ACE CPD website, you click onto any of those countries, you can find CPD from those countries, which you can consume either as an architect in that country or as an architect elsewhere who might be looking for an architect from London who might be looking for a CPD event in Vienna, for example. And our aim is to really grow this from the, 10 who are here and who have been here for quite some time and since the launch of this quite a number of years ago, to at least, I'd say, 28, 35 countries being listed here, and every country having CPD and contributing to the general competence, upskilling and reskilling of architects, the 600,000 architects across Europe. So watch this space for this to grow. We've got marketing and other plans behind the scenes to make this happen. I also mentioned, and this is a case of it, we've got a growing list of EU learning, EU-funded learning that people can tap into, and they were available in this area, having been developed under the innovation and research projects funded by the European Commission. The materials and tools provided here offer upskilling solutions for architects and architectural practice activities. And for example, the Renault ZEB project has developed a new plug-and-play facade system for building refurbishment. In the 3 videos on the link for Renault ZEB, you'll find a full-day training session with a detailed explanation about the facade system and digital tools developed to assist facade design. And DigiPlace up here is a webinar about digitalization. And many of these here right now are about carbon, about BIM, about digitalization, and about renovation. So have a look. Now, as an example, in the UK, and we think that most countries are probably facing these same crises as well. For us in the UK, there have been massive changes in architecture, construction, in the Royal Institute of British Architects, and in the industry in general since the Grenfell Tower fire in the Tower Block in London in 2017, in which 72 people were killed. So massive changes in how people work and how they approach building safety. So as a result, there's increased scrutiny in architects' competence, as there is across Europe, continual regulatory and legislative changes as a result of that, in this country especially. We've also got the climate emergency and the need to develop climate literacy on a wide range of areas to deal with the climate crisis. And of course, there are the societal requirements equity, inclusion, and access. And for architects anywhere, working anywhere in Europe, there's a complex amount of necessary areas of knowledge. This is why we're continually reviewing and enhancing our CPD requirements, and why we're assuming that other European countries are doing the same as well, particularly with the digitalization of the industry, but also with the climate literacy and the climate crisis. So what we've done is, which is particularly pertinent to what we're going to be hearing about today, is develop resources for climate action, including a 2030 climate challenge, which we're asking all architectural practices to sign up to, but also all kinds of tools and resources in the background, such as guides for working with clients, climate literacy, knowledge schedules, CPD books, tools of other sorts. And added to that, this is what it looks like with us. And I'm not going to concentrate so much on what we require from members every year, and the specialist registers here on the right for specialist skills and competencies for specialist subjects such as conservation architecture. But the thing that I think is really interesting and pertinent to architects anywhere, and which probably helps highlight some key areas across Europe, are the 5-year competencies, which we are going to be testing every RIBA member on every 5 years in health and life safety, climate literacy, and ethical practice. So what will happen when these 3 competencies are finally embedded is that every 5 years, you'll have to do the test, which is an online test, and for the first 2 will be traditional kind of yes, no, multiple choice drop-down menus, and for ethical practice is going to be scenario-based. So you will not be able to renew your RIBA membership if you haven't got the evidence that you passed the test for ethical practice, climate literacy, and health and life safety. Ethics is absolutely important to and inherent in what architects do. And we've certainly found out, particularly with the Grenfell Tower fire, all of the poor decisions, including the architectural decisions that went into the misinformed, in fact, very misinformed choice of cladding on that tower were in fact ethical questions. Everything that happened on that fire, and indeed with climate as well, every decision is not just a technical decision or a planning decision or a resources or servicing decision. Every decision is actually an ethical decision at heart as well, and particularly in the Grenfell Tower fire. It was a system over 30 years of ethical failures which led to the fire. And I include architectural decisions in that as well. Moving on, and finally, this is the key 10 topics that we identify for our members every year. So they have to get at least 2 hours each of the 10 every year to be able to say that they've got a complete CPD record. And I think that if you look through this, these are 10 areas that would fit any architect anywhere. And obviously, we're not saying that other European countries have to adopt this or identify this. But I think that if you look through this, these are the skills that any architect probably needs to be able to deliver a building and safely and profitably, and for not only for themselves, for the end users, for the clients, but for the general public as well. So, going forward, when we're thinking about what kind of CPD we might want to identify that architects should be focusing on, these might be the 10 topics that we look at and integrating within our CPD guidelines. And certainly, I would imagine in every country there's CPD already in each of these 10 topics anyway, particularly for health, safety, and well-being, legal, regulatory, and statutory compliance, contracts and procurement, sustainable architecture, i.e. climate literacy, and so on. If you want to look at our own resources, they're here. I've already shown you the ACE resources, which will be growing, and I would hope that by this time next year, we'll have much more to show on the website. Many more countries signed up to the CPD register, hopefully more CPD and certainly more guidance. Remember, today's event is CPD for anybody who's attending, structured CPD. If you've got any feedback or questions or any thoughts or ideas on what you think a European CPD system and framework should look like, you're more than welcome to get in touch with either ACE or with myself at joni.tyler@reba.org. But I'm now going to hand over to the next speaker. I hope I kept that to 10 minutes. I wasn't actually looking at my watch, but I'm going to still be in the background and here for the end for any questions as well, and hand over to the next speaker or back to the organizer. Thank you for your time today.
I think up next is Annalene or Caroline, sorry.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Annalene de Jong. I work at the Architects Register in the Netherlands. We are the national authority, so we arrange all kind of things for architects who want to register. We maintain the register, but we also have a function to oversee the quality of the education and of the CPD. See if it works. No. Can you help me? Yeah. Oh, okay. Now I get there. So in the Netherlands, just a very short introduction. We have protection of the title of 4 disciplines, which is different maybe from other countries in Europe. You see, for these 4 disciplines, we have the same obligation for the CPD, the same set of how to register and how to maintain your title. So we have protection of the title and not of the profession. That's important. There's some delay in there. Yeah. So to obtain the title, you have to get the master's degree. Like in many countries, you have to do the PPE, the professional practice experience, and register. And then to maintain the title is, of course, the registration, keep it active, and do the CPD for 16 hours a year. There's no enforcement on the CPD. However, there is an obligation to inform clients of the CPD that you follow. That's not something, there's also no enforcement on this side, and this is really between the architect and the client. That's not something that we can control. In the Netherlands, we have the Dutch Architects Title Act, which was from 1988, and we have to review this act. And it's possible that if we will review this law, that there might be changes also on the authority of the register to maybe enforce on the CPD and on some other issues. But that's something maybe from the start of next year or the next 2 years is something that we will start. It's a very long process that I think other countries are also going through. What is important in the Netherlands, I think, that we have this professional practice experience, which have in 3 different routes, and our aim is to get an alignment of the end terms of this professional practice experience with the CPD. And this means that we are starting now a research project in January. We are setting up the commission, which will evaluate the current end terms of the professional practice experience and see how, if they still fit the requirements or the skills needed for the spatial designers in the future, should we change them, and how should we set up a system which includes for the CPD registration and the offer. So it's a bit of, we try to link the different forms of education. It means we have to align, he's not taking the next slide. We have to align the academic education, the professional practice experience in its 3 versions, so the academy is included, and the CPD. Emily, can you help me, because it's stuck? Yeah. So this is this current research project. It will last for 2 years, and it will also, by the time that we have a new set of end terms and a scheme for the alignment of these end terms and the CPD, also develop a project on how to set up a register for the CPD in the Netherlands, and also to include the other kind of activities that we have in the Netherlands, that you can do a state exam to enter the title, and maybe this changes in the end terms and in the CPD will also change the criteria for these different procedures. That's important. For us, it's very good what Tony was saying about the EU development, about help from that side, and how we can also align our offer and our scheme that we want to set up with the European standards, because I think then we manage to get a stronger position for the architects. Yeah. We do not create any offer ourselves in the Netherlands, mainly starting then with the candidates for the PPE and also the architects that are registered. They come to our website and they look for modules to follow. It's a system which is works by itself. So the people who do have something to offer, they get access to the online environment and upload in the agenda their offer. That means there's a big variety of courses that are offered. Sometimes they're only free, sometimes it's like 10 pages of courses, and it's all kind of things. It's lectures, it's courses, it's training on very different kind of subjects, very wide. And that's also something that we see, especially if we want to develop this new scheme, that we might be able to control somehow or guide this continuous professional development towards certain topics. And this is not the case now. It's kind of almost open to anyone offering a course within the spatial design area or connected. Could be landscape, could be urbanism, could be new materials. They can present their offer on our website. It doesn't happen very often and the system is not working very well. I will try to show you the link just to give you an impression. At this moment, there's not a lot of offer. It's also maybe because it's the end of the year, so we have this agenda. And if you click, you can register, you can go back. Can you go back to the website, Emily, to the slides? Yeah. So what we are very happy with is that we work together with the Royal Institute of Dutch Architects at the BNA, and they really have a very good offer for courses. What we see that the candidates on the PPE almost always follow the courses offered by the BNA. And yeah, so Caroline will talk about this now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Annelien. So like Annelien already introduced me, my name is Caroline Gentner and I'm with the Royal Institute of Dutch Architects, or as you can see below, the BNA. And I want to give you some insight on our academy that we have in-house, but first a little bit of background about the BNA. So as you can see, we are the National Institute for Dutch Architectural Firms. They can become a member, which is voluntarily based, and we now have around 950 members, and altogether that's around 5,500 employees. So BNA stands for Advocacy, Entrepreneurial Support and Industry Development, and that is also where BNA Academy comes into play. So like Annelien already said, we have the law for title protection, and the BNA Academy is a result of that. So to gain your 16 hours of CPD per year, we have developed a really broad set of courses that architects can follow, or also non-architects. All right, so what do we offer? Yes. So we offer different in-course classes on different themes. The main subjects are entrepreneurship, sustainability, technology, laws and regulations, and human resources. So for example, sustainability, you could think about circular design, or green, how to incorporate green into your architecture. Technology, you can think about parametric design or that kinds of subjects. Next to the in-class courses, we also offer webinars. Some courses have a form of blended learning that we use an online tool for, which works really well. and organizations can also request a specialized in-company course, and then we'll have a look at their specific request and find a teacher that is suitable for that, and they'll get a specific created course for them. That works really well. Here you can see a setup for one of our webinars that was really successful on new regulations. Then the CPD points and who can participate. So the CPD points are based on the hours of work that an architect has to put into the course. So for example, the course takes, let's say, 10 hours, you'll get around 10 hours of points for the CPD. At the end of each course, you'll get a certificate, and that way you can prove to a client if they ask about it, since it's not enforced, like Annelien already mentioned. You can prove that you successfully participated in the course. And who is it for? So we offer courses for all the employees of around all 4 disciplines. So not only architecture. And next to that, we also have a set of courses for the younger participants who are still in their PPE, and they can follow courses with us. They are set in a specific route. Yes, then the B&A Academy in numbers. Just a brief overview, we yearly have around 850 participants, and this is the regular courses, but also the webinars and the master classes. We offered around 40 courses this year, which is a really great number. So everybody can keep on learning with us, and we are valued around an 8+ out of 10 by the participants. Our teachers also come straight out of the field, which is really handy, and we also try to always listen to the participants to see what they need, and so that we can develop our program based on the needs from the field. I think that was it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I would like to give the floor to the next person, which is Sandra Campbell from Ireland.
Thank you very much, Caroline. My name is Sandra Campbell. I'm the Education Director with the Royal Institute of Architects of Ireland, and the EAAE is the registration body for architects in Ireland, and also the professional body and competent authority. And national legislation requires the EAAE to keep a register of architects to protect the public and the built environment by maintaining professional standards. And that register was established in 2007. So CPD policy has been mandatory in Ireland for architects since 2009. And architects are required to maintain their competence by undertaking CPD. Some recent amendments to national legislation require the EAAE to remove architects who don't demonstrate compliance with that policy from the register. And this will take place from 2025, apologies. So the EAAE's objective is for 100% of registered architects to be compliant with CPD policy annually. Registered architects are required to demonstrate completion of a minimum of 40 CPD points, including 20 structural points in any cycle, and 1 CPD point is equivalent to 1 hour of learning time. The cycle each year runs from the 1st of December to the 30th of November, and CPD can be categorised as structured or unstructured. The 40 CPD points must comprise a minimum of 20 structured points, and points must be recorded on the My RAI CPD system, which you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here, except in exceptional circumstances. Registered architects should ensure that their CPD is relevant to their practice, and RAI CPD accreditations are offered, which I will speak about later. CPD doesn't have to be provided, approved or accredited by the RAI in order to count as CPD points, and any learning activity that is relevant to an architect's practice can count as CPD. The RAI does provide CPD activities for our members, and I'll talk about that shortly. So inclusion of the register on the Register of Architects implies that an architect has the knowledge, skill and competence set out in Article 46 of the EU Qualifications Directive. And consequently, registered architects must take all reasonable steps to maintain an appropriate level of professional skills and at minimum maintain the common standard. The RAI standard of knowledge, skill and competence for practice as an architect, shown in the centre and on the right-hand side, describes the minimum standards required to be maintained by a registered architect in Ireland. The standard provides the benchmark against which registered architects can measure themselves and thus identify areas where development may be required. The 11 elements listed under Article 46 of the directive provide the framework for the standard, and indicators are provided for each element that are recognisably related to the realities of architectural practice. So on the left-hand side of on the diagram on the right, the left column represents Article 46, and the indicators are shown in green with some guidance notes. So the indicators give further description, I suppose, of Article 46 and how it might be broken down into CPD. The indicators outline specific areas in which a candidate is expected to demonstrate expertise and the level of that expertise. And also just to note that the RAI is currently conducting a review of this standard to be completed in the coming year. The RAI offers a comprehensive programme of CPD events each year for our members, registered architects, architectural technologists, and for other construction professionals. The events offered are mapped to the RAI standard and to Article 46 to support architects in the maintenance of appropriate levels of professional skills. This slide shows the programme of RAI CPD events offered in 2022, mapped against Article 46. So Article 46 again is on the left-hand side, and the different events run by the RAI shown across the top. So in total, 172 hours of CPD were delivered in 2022 across all 11 competencies. Each year, the RAI offers over 40 CPD courses to architects, architectural technologists, and our colleagues in construction. The majority of these are delivered in live webinar format. All CPD events are recorded and made available to view online after the event for a reduced fee. And in addition to RAI CPD events, which are usually offered for a fee, our members can avail of free CPD via the RAI CPD network. This is a partnership between the RAI and a commercial company operating within the construction industry and wishing to provide a quality presentation free of charge and relevant to an architectural audience. Each presentation is assessed by the RAI CPD network panel to ensure it's interesting, technical and topical, and with clear learning outcomes. More than 90 CPD presentations are listed on the RAI website. In addition, members can avail of CPD from any other source. For example, they can watch ACE webinars. We do a lot of work with the Irish Green Building Council, and they have a huge amount of very useful CPD resources on their website. So our members aren't obliged to complete RAI CPD, but the RAI does offer a programme of CPD if they wish to avail it. Where a particular challenge or opportunity for architectural practice is identified, guidance is developed in conjunction with the RAI Practice Committee and our specialist task forces, and a CPD is planned to disseminate the guidance with the use of case studies. A good example of this is the RAI Design for Manufacturing Assembly guidance, which was launched at the RAI conference in 2023. The RAI DFMA report summarises the benefits and barriers to adoption of design for manufacturing assembly to support modern methods of construction in Ireland. And the accompanying overlay document provides more detailed analysis of how the architectural profession can harness good design for manufacturing and assembly to facilitate off-site development throughout each of the RAI work stages and into construction without losing design quality. In November 2023, the RAI hosted a live CPD webinar to support the dissemination and adoption of modern methods of construction enabled by DFMA. The CPD provided guidelines and directions for all parties to the construction process in their journey to embed the principles of DFMA, sustainability and digital delivery in their projects. Participants were invited to experience real-world case studies, understand the impact of MMC on sustainability, and to navigate the barriers to its adoption. A recording of this CPD will be available in the RAI website in the coming weeks. Apologies. In addition to the RAI CPD policy and requirements and events offered by the RAI also offers specialist accreditations to our members. The RII's conservation and environmental accreditations acknowledge the specialist skills of registered architects in these areas. Each accreditation is underpinned by a standard of knowledge, skill and competence, recognising differing levels of expertise and assisting those seeking to commission works in finding architects with the skills appropriate to their project. The RII's accreditation systems are designed to allow practitioners to progress through the grades of accreditation through the acquisition of additional qualifications and experience. Registered architects holding an RII accreditation are required to demonstrate at least 8 hours of CPD each year on that area to maintain their accreditation. For example, the RII's environmental accreditation is designed to confirm the position of the architectural profession as the lead profession advising on the environmental aspects of the built environment, including technical design and performance, legislation, cost analysis, and optimising payback to the client. The RII is developing a learning pathway and a range of CPDs to help members upskill and achieve RII environmental accreditation. The RII has produced several publications encouraging architects. Apologies, my slides are jumping around. The RII has produced several publications encouraging architects and our colleagues in construction to evaluate the way they currently design and make the changes needed to meet the necessary reductions and targets to address climate challenge. The RII policy on sustainability for the current global environmental crisis supports the commitments made by the RII to place the UN Sustainable Development Goals at the core of architectural practice and sets out clear and measurable objectives for both the RII and practicing architects to become industry leaders in developing a sustainable future for all. The RII Guide Sustainable Design Pathways is intended to educate and inform architects and other construction professionals, including surveyors, planners and engineers, on the key areas that must be addressed in the built environment design development to combat the climate crisis. And the RII 2030 Climate Challenge is a climate change initiative to encourage the profession and the wider construction industry to achieve net zero whole life carbon for all new and retrofitted buildings by 2030. In keeping with the title of this webinar, I've also included this slide touching briefly on Ireland's response to circularity in the construction sector. Circularity in the construction sector is being coordinated at government level via the Construction Sector Group, which comprises representatives from all government bodies or departments, the construction industry and professional bodies. The RII chairs the Innovation and Digital Adoption subgroup of the Construction Sector Group. The remit of this subgroup is to develop guidance for the move towards the circular economy for the Irish construction sector. The subgroup is considering the current policy context, the economic rationale for the circular economy, the vision for circularity, strategic recommendations and sectoral roadmaps. Further information on the work and findings of this subgroup will be available in the coming months. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. So now we go to the results of the BUSGoCircular project. So this webinar, it's a webinar from this project. The project is an European funded project. Emily, can you help me with, oh, sorry. So it's an European funded project. It started in September 2021 and it will finish now in February 2024. We have 14 partners from the Netherlands, Spain, Czech Republic, Hungary, Bulgaria, Ireland, and partners with European reach, such as us, the Architects Council of Europe and EAAE. So the link between BUSGoCircular and the CPDs from the Ireland, Netherlands, and UK, this project is an educational project, so aims to upskill professionals. And especially, so BUSGoCircular has developing and is implementing a circular construction skills qualification framework with a focus on multifunctional green roofs, facades, and interior elements. So I will go quickly to the results of BUSGoCircular. So the circular skill qualification framework, the BUSGoCircular partners, they mapped 41 professional profiles linked to the circularity, including architects, Through these, they mapped 9 tasks on circularity and 71 tasks, subtasks that they developed regarding circularity. And from these tasks, they create 84 units of learning outcomes. Martin will explain a bit in depth this later, so I will not go further. As a result, we also developed training packs. Each training pack from the national countries will be in the native language, but also a training pack in EU level that I'm going to explain later on. We have also done train the trainers program. We have 3 of them done, and later on Pavla will also explain a little bit more about it together with Michalina and Carolina. Finally, also as part of the Train the Trainers program, we developed training materials for trainers that you can also access on BUSGoCircular website. Finally, we also developed a mentoring program, and these are the main results. And now I hand over to Martin Breen.
Hello, I'm Martin Breen from the Technological University of the Shannon in Ireland. Unfortunately, my camera is not working today, so apologies. But today I'll be talking about 2 topics. The first of these is skills mapping and how they can be used to create CPDs. And the second of these is the qualification framework that was then developed from this skills mapping. I may need someone to change slides for me, apologies, it's not working. Thank you. So firstly, we'll look at skills mapping and the skills mapping results. So based on the key elements framework, which are shown here, using the ProfTrack framework, we mapped out 58 skills and 38 professions relating to circular economy and multifunctional green roofs, facades and interior elements, which we will go on to map in order to discover the skills gaps existing within Europe. So you can see here, firstly, the key elements shown. So these are use waste as a resource, stretch the lifetime and prioritize regenerative resources. In the center there, they're the core elements to implement circular economy. And then the 5 outer elements, which are design for the future, rethink the business model, incorporate digital technology, team up to create joint value and strengthen advanced knowledge, are the enabling elements, and they support the implementation of the core elements and circular economy within the construction industry. Then we also used, as I said, the ProfTrack framework to map these skills, and the project is based on circular economy and multifunctional green roofs, facades and interior elements. However, this process can be repeated with any element of the construction process. So firstly, we mapped, as I said, the 38 professions. These included existing professions such as architects, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, as well as new and emerging professions such as demolition or deconstruction auditor, green public procurer, or green roofer. And you can see here we also created images to go along with each of these. Following this, we then mapped the 58 skills, and this first table shows a number of these skills. You can see, firstly, the key element created the first 9 skills within each of the tables, and then there's sub skills relating to each one of those. So this first table in orange relates specifically to circular economy skills, or skills almost predominantly relating to circular economy. So examples of these are design for reuse, material innovation, and design and build for reuse, or deconstruction for reuse, sorry. The second table then includes skills relating to circular economy, but not necessarily specific to it. And within this table, we have skills such as modular design and facades as a service. And then finally, the last table here in pink relates to circular economy skills specifically relating to multifunctional green roofs, facades and interior elements. And these skills here include horticulture and establishing cooling and heating function of green roofs. So based on these skills then, we worked with professionals within each of our partner countries to map these skills, both current and future skills. We asked them to map these skills on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being has little knowledge and skill, 5 being has specialist knowledge and problem solving skills. And then also there was an option for not applicable or no knowledge and skill required. So this allowed us first to map each profession's skills for current level and then again for future level. We then created a common level across Europe, which gave us an image of what skills existed within Europe, and we spoke with our EABs within each country and experts to validate these findings. And then this allowed us to map the skills gaps which exist within Europe. And these were gauged by looking at the current and future and gauging the gap that existed between them. We identified skills gaps across all sectors and all skills throughout Europe. So there is huge work to be done in the area of circular economy. Just to look at one example then of a future skill, this is the graph, kind of graph we have as an output. The example here is for architects, and I like to look at this as kind of a wheel. So the spokes of the wheel coming out relate to the skills. So you can see here, prioritize regenerative resources at the top, and the spoke for that intersects with the bicycle wheel on number 5. So that means that an architect's future skill should be at a level of 5 for prioritize regenerative resources. So how does this relate to CPDs? So when you're creating a CPD, we would ask that you identify your target profession or professions who you'd like to train. Secondly, you'll note the skills levels of these professions. So you'll identify what their current skills levels are, and then using the BUSGoCircular skills mapping, you can gauge the skills gaps that exist. And this will allow you to highlight how you would or can upskill in relation to these skills. This then went on to create our qualification framework and our ULOs, as well as creating materials that I think Pavla will talk a little bit more about later on. So then we created, as I said, the task-based qualification framework. Why did we do this? We created this because it's a practical perspective on required skills for circular construction. It increases recognition of learned skills. The learning outcomes for it allowed us to create learning outcomes for development of training, and allowed us to create circular applied to different fields within the construction sector. So unfortunately, we couldn't include everything within this qualification framework, but what we could include was integrated circular principles in existing work activities. We focused on working as a member of the construction value chain, and we included interdisciplinary skills such as collaboration, research, and evaluation. What we didn't include within the qualification framework was detailed skills and knowledge and technologically specific skills such as details of installing heat pumps and specifics of designing prefabricated structures. So now to look at specifically how this task-based qualification framework works. Firstly, you can see in green here the task. So each task, we have 9 tasks altogether. So the example here is design for the future. And within each one of these, we have a number of subtasks, and examples here are design with materials that enable multiple uses. These subtasks and tasks then relate to the ULOs. Each ULO is identified here at the end and feeds into another table. And we also have the professional acronyms linked here as well. So you can see there AR represents architect for 2.1. So the ULOs are a statement regarding what a learner knows, understands, and is able to do, including their responsibility on completion of a learning process, which are defined in terms of knowledge, skills, and attitude or responsibility. So then looking at the ULOs and how they were created, you can see here the competency is the first box within each ULO. So you can see for 2, the competency is enact measures that optimize materials use to strive for material efficiency. And a competency is what one needs to know to perform the subtask. These then relate to skills, and the skills are what should one be able to do in order to gain the competency, and you can see the examples there. And then finally, that then relates to knowledge, and the knowledge is what is a prerequisite knowledge to become competent. So this is how we created our ULOs. So I'm not going to go through all of these in detail, but the 9 tasks that we identified are prioritized regenerative and efficient use of resources, design for the future, assemble or construct for the future, rethink the business model, stretch the lifetime, use secondary resources, incorporate digital technology, collaborate to create joint value, and strengthen and advance knowledge. And these relate to the key elements which I identified earlier. So looking at one example of this, then again, we have the task, which is prioritize regenerative and efficient use of resources, which then has the subtasks. For example, here you've designed with bio-based, non-toxic and or non-critical materials. And then this relates then to ULO 1, 2, 3, and 4. So then for you, how would you use this to create a CPD course? So based on your target profession or profession selected, you can identify the principles or the key elements you want to train. You can identify the relevant tasks and subtasks then, and then this will allow you to review the ULOs provided on usability at first sight and integrate these into your training. And that is all from me, so I will now pass on to Larissa.
Okay, thank you, Martin. So here I will present the European Fundamental Training Pack that we did in BUSGoCircular. And first, I would like to show you the training material for public procurer. So we have developed a slide deck that shows examples of buildings that were procured on a circular way, and also gives some information about how to do it, how to procure on a circular way. You can find all the information on BUSGoCircular website in the training area. You can scan this QR code and you go through the website. You can check the website. We also developed in the European level a training pack with the first module in English. It's really about the basics of circularity, what do you need to achieve, and anything about really the first step of learning what circularity is and what it means. And it's also available on our webpage. And finally, we developed a second module that it's more focused on the policy framework in the EU. So it's really making an overview of all the policy framework regarding energy efficiency that we have. And it provides also some exercises to do if in case if you want to train your staff, or if you want to train yourself, you can read the material, and there are some proposed exercises for you to do it and to reflect about what you have seen in this content. It also talks about the new European Bauhaus, about levels framework as an extra material, and has a lot of links and references for the materials and the website of the European Commission. So this will be available. It's finished, but it will be available in the following days in the website. But in any case, it's exactly the same web page, busgocircular.eu/training. So now I will hand over to Pavla to talk about the Train the Trainer program.
Pavla, you seem to be muted. No, we can't hear you, I'm afraid. No, nothing. Maybe mute and unmute, or if you have a headset.
No.
Now I think, yes. Now we can hear you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so sorry again. So good afternoon. My name is Pavla Otakwa. I'm from Czech Technical University in Prague. And within the BUSGoCircular project, we organize the Train the Trainers courses. And as already has been mentioned, there were 3 courses implemented. One was a face-to-face event and the other two as online events. They took place this year in January, June, and November. Yeah, sorry. And the courses provided participants with an overview of useful tools, materials, and useful information and the outputs of the BUSGoCircular project. The participants had the opportunity to discuss the topic of circularity and to share their experience with people from other countries. And also an integral part of the course was the creation of training program. So the first Train the Trainers was a face-to-face event. It took place in Prague and it was in January. It lasted 2 days and there were numerous lectures and 3 workshops. And it also included an excursion to National Technical Library building and a social dinner or social evening. And the great advantage of this was the personal contact of participants. The second Train the Trainers was an online event and it took place in June. It was an event with 3 consecutive sessions, 3 Tuesdays afternoons, and each session lasted 2.5 hours. And the number of lectures was reduced. Some of the lectures from the first Train the Trainers were recorded and were provided on YouTube channel, and they are still there. The content of interactive sessions was the similar like in the first Train the Trainers. Normally the course was in Microsoft Teams, and during the interactive sessions the participants were working in groups. And also there was provided a working environment which was Mural, which you can see its screen on the bottom right corner. So the people were working or what they have found important, they put into Mural all the 3 days they were working in groups. The third course was in a similar spirit as the second, and and took place in November, which is actually recently. There were more participants, so there were more groups for interactive sessions. There were 5 groups, and normally the groups were made according to the professions of the participants. And also they were working in Microsoft Teams and sharing their outcomes in Mural. And also a Google Drive was provided for the materials sharing and the presentation. And to give you a taste of what the courses were actually like, 2 participants are here to give us their impressions. It is Karolina Baric, an architect from the Czech Republic, co-founder of Zero Architecture and Rethink Architecture, who participated in the first Train the Trainers. And also we have here Michalina Frončák from Portugal, architectural designer at Enter Architecture, who participated in the second Train the Trainers. So good afternoon, ladies. We are happy to have you here, and I have several questions for you. The first question is, what was your motivation to participate in Train the Trainers? Yeah, and we can start with Karolina, please.
Yeah, thank you. Hello. So my motivation was that in Rethink Architecture, which is an NGO which I co-founded, we train and we do organized seminars for architects, developers, and other parties. So the motivation to participate in Train the Trainers was to broaden the knowledge on what are the best ways how to do it, what are the key topics we should focus on for the different focus groups, and how to do it actually, what might be a good processes on how to improve these seminars and lectures we are giving. So in this sense, the Train the Trainers was very valuable.
Thanks. And what about Michalina?
Hi, hello, good afternoon. In my case, it was a first step into giving a structure to the following course later on, and that would be prepared for the architects for the from Portugal and Poland as well, because I work in both of the markets. So for me, it's also a curious study case of two different realities, actually three different realities, because I also work in Azores, the archipelago. So there are three different realities, and somehow I wanted to structurize, to understand the structure and to have a guideline to prepare a course that was suggested by a colleague of mine.
Thanks. I have another question. So what do you think about the course? If it worth attending, what was your experience? What did you like?
Well, as I mentioned, I think it was very valuable for me. The most interesting part was actually what Martin was presenting earlier, and it was like the evaluation of the different target groups and the topics and how much they are advanced in each of these topics. And that helps us not only in the seminars and like which topics we should focus on when we prepare them, and depending on the target group for which the seminar is organized for. But I also use this knowledge in the consultancy services, like when we discuss these different topics with the different stakeholders and the clients. So like this level of awareness of the different target groups was very interesting for me.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I think what's also another part that was very important for me is that it is very well structured, and it's very organized, and it creates a good guideline, not only to prepare the course itself, but also to implement in our daily consultancy on our project, because I strongly advocate that if we want to prepare a course and to pass the knowledge, firstly we need to interiorize it throughout our processes that we go through together with the clients and contractors, and therefore it's a really good guideline to prepare it, because itself it's a very complex world, let's say, and very often the architect is the first person that tries to combine it all together, at least in our reality here in Portugal and Poland as well. It helps to have a good look over everything together.
Okay. Another question follows. Have you already had the opportunity to study all the materials that are, well, the outputs of the BUSGoCircular project? Have you tried to implement it? Have you looked at it? And what do you think about it?
I went through the materials. To be honest, I did not go through all of them because like there are so many, and it's like such a robust and great database of the knowledge, not only about the actual topics of sustainability in architecture, but as I mentioned, also about the process of how to organize better the materials. So what I went through was very valuable, and we will be using these materials further in our next programs, which we are now developing.
Yes, same here. Because as I told before, I think it was a very good first step, and now somehow it's our role to fill the gap, let's say, with the practical part, so as later convey the knowledge, to pass the knowledge in a more complex way. So yes, I've passed through the materials, As Carolina said, there are so many of them that it's difficult to apply all of them, but I think if we put it into routine in our daily projects, somehow it slowly begins to be our reality. I guess that some of the parts already were before in an intuitive way somehow, but in this way it's well more organized, and yeah, that's why it's very interesting to step by step implement it, because I think there is it's a gradual process. We are in the process of transition that as we all already know, and it's very time consuming and energy consuming, and we meet a lot of resistance with architects. As I said, we are very often get the first impact, and then we need to collaborate with all the with all the rest. And well, okay, it's nice to collaborate with engineers and scientists, for example, as we have opportunity. But then there is a big resistance from the clients and from the contractors themselves. So we really need to present. That's why I also talk about the practical parts that I think is very important, because what helps to break the resistance is showing the examples that really work and that really are actually more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So you are happy with the materials. There is a big database for anyone, and they can pick what they want. Oh, okay. Well, I would say last question is: have you already used the materials and any experience from the trainers courses? For Karina, it's from January, so it's a long time. From Michalina, it's from June, so it's quite short time. But have you already used it, or do you plan to use it in the future?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we already use them because we are giving the seminars and lectures to the developers. As you can see on the pictures, on the left there is actually a big presentation for a developer, and on the right there is like a public lecture which we organize. So in doing these events, we use these materials and focus on the different topics which they are described there. And to build up on that, we are in the development of a big educational program. It's a 3-month program. It's going to be an academy for sustainable architecture and real estate. And now we are preparing it, and it should run in for the first time in half of 2024. And it's actually the program which we already discussed, and like the first idea was developed and further discussed with all the team in the Train the Trainers program. So now it's gonna turn into reality, and we will for sure use all these background materials to develop this, because it will be the most robust educational program which we have prepared so far.
Yeah, that's great. So it was preparing Train the Trainers. Great. And what about Michalina?
Well, in my case, it's we're talking about June, so it's nearly half a year that I've been very busy with trying to prepare the study case somehow, and to use the guidelines to introduce it in a daily work, and to somehow train a little bit, help to train the client itself somehow, to prepare the client, and later on with the study case done, pass it on a bigger scale somehow. So I would like it to grow slowly, so as to firstly break this resistance. And it's very interesting to observe, like this course helped me to observe in a more conscious way the changes that are happening, and somehow I got more alert. And we have here if we talk about Portugal, we have here two different realities between the mainland and the archipelago. They share some common characteristics that some of them are already mentioned, that are always the crucial role of the architect in the process, and that they are some courses that prepare, but not in a very, very practical way still. There is a big resistance from the contractors and the scarcity of them that can follow up the changes. And what we have in common here is a big sector of rehabilitation that I think it can be very well implemented into circular architecture and economy in architecture. But then we have some differences in between the mainland and such that are basically the archipelago itself. It's an autonomous region, so it can implement some different legislation that helps us architects and the scientists and engineers to introduce some alterations, and there are things happening actually. I think what's our big good thing happening is the database of the reused materials on the whole archipelago, so it can circulate around all of the islands. And then I think mainland can get some of the ideas from a smaller scale. That's why I was saying that circular architecture is a lot of about the small scale, I think, and getting to the bigger scale, so as to be able to be sustainable. Yes, so there are things happening, and in a way, the legislation needs to help as well. And in Azores, it's happening, I think, in a little bit quicker way, as we are trying to be as sustainable as possible in general.
Okay, thank you very much for this, because I have got one idea that was also coming from the trainers process, that the level of knowledge in different countries across Europe is different. Yeah, it's not the same. Someone is farther and someone needs more time to adapt. So we will see what's going to happen. And thank you very much for your input. And now it's time to give floor to Larissa.
Thank you very much, Pavla, Caroline, and Michalina. So here we are going to our final set of well, in fact, it's not a presentation, it's a question and answer. But as I told you before, we will go for 3 quick questions on Slido. I'm trying to change the slides.
Yes, there you go now.
Yes. Sometimes it's a bit slow. So yes, so again, you can scan the QR code or go to slido.com and then add in the hashtag you add CPD. So I will launch the first question, and is, would you be interested in take a CPD on circular skills? What do you think? Would you like to know more after what you saw on our webinar today? Would you be interested to participate in a CPD on circular skills? So for now, 100% yes. Yeah. Maybe no interest. So yes, 6 people replying already. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Could be also, no? 89% yes, 90%. Okay. 91, yes. I would like to take a CPD on circular skills. Okay. We'll close this one and we go to the next one, which is, would you be interested in CPD courses recognizing different member states in Europe? So would you like to take a CPD course in Netherlands that could be recognized in Ireland, that perhaps would be inside the same framework? Perhaps the BUSGoCircular framework as well? So yes, we have 100%. Okay, not relevant. Okay, okay. And yes, 14 people have replied so far. Okay, I think we have the answers. So now let's move to the final one. Do you think European CPD framework can facilitate the professional mobility between countries? So do you think if we have a European CPD framework, people could better move between countries? 8 yes, 11% no. 90% yes, 91 yes, 9% no. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, we are still receiving some answers. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, the majority, yeah, 13 people. Okay, the majority is going for yes. So perhaps an European CPD framework could facilitate the professional mobility in Europe. So, and certainly we are not talking about the graduation, but certainly as professionals, if you take additional courses and can be recognized in another country, so this could facilitate the mobility. So, okay, I think that's all. We have, oops, we have few minutes. I'm sorry, I think I jumped too quick. We have few minutes for question and answer. So we have one question on our Q&A box. And I don't know, might be for Johnny Tyler, perhaps. Johnny, the question is regarding the protection of the title. How is the title of architect protected in regards to the IT sector that claim the title frequently all across the EU?
Well, I think this would be more of a question for our fellow body in the UK, the Architects Registration Board, around the corner from here. But to the best of my recollection, their judgment, which you can find on their website, arb.org.uk, is that it's not an issue because most members of the public would not be fooled into thinking an information architecture is the same thing as an architect in the built environment. So the risk is that, I believe, as I recall, that it feels is very minimal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I think we go to the end of our webinar. I don't know if Emily would like to say a few words also on behalf of BUILDUP, but I personally would like to thank everyone, all speakers that collaborate here in this webinar. It was a hard work of few months. And thank you also BUILDUP for hosting us today.
Thanks,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for hosting.
Thank you very much, Larissa.
Yes, thank you to Larissa. Thank you to all of the speakers. Thanks to BUSGoCircular as well. And also thank you, of course, to our audience for attending today's webinar. Just a reminder that you will be able to find the recording of today's session on the BuildUp portal and also on our YouTube channel in just a few days, together with the presentation slides as well. Otherwise, a reminder as well that we have the final session of the ongoing BUSGoCircular project webinar series. So this was the third one. We're going to have the fourth one on December 14th. So you can go into the BuildUp portal and check out our social media and also, of course, the BUSGoCircular website to find out more for that and to register. That will be an interactive session. Otherwise, we're also looking forward to next year when we have a couple of webinars already in the pipeline. So we recommend to keep an eye on the BuildUp calendar of events and also our social media for updates on those. So we wish you all a very pleasant week. Thank you again and goodbye.